Hey everybody, a little bit of a different video today. It's less of a journal and more of a note. I'm doing a day hike of Mount San Jacinto, my favorite mountain in Southern California. I haven't vlogged it yet because I mainly do day hikes. You can do overnights, they're just not as long. So right now I'm in the town of Idlewild picking up my free permit. You have to have permits to day hike here as well as overnight. So this is the very first step. This is the self-issue permit station. There's an office here, but it is closed. And so these little permits here, you just fill them out, put the white copy in. I've got my yellow copy. And I'm going to be taking the Marion Mountain Trail. You can see there's several different trails to get to the peak, which is right there. I'm taking the Marion Mountain Trail, which is coming here from the west. It's going to come up, meet the Pacific Crest Trail for a very short period of time. And then there's this trail. Here it's labeled Deer Springs, but I've seen it labeled Peak Trail. And then that's the peak. So there's several different options coming out of Idlewild here. And then there's also this fun option coming in from the east where you take the tramway up to 8,400 feet. And then it's got like a couple of restaurants and a bar and a little like nature center and a little video about the mountains. So that's a fun way to do it too. I'm doing the steeper way coming in from the west over here. So got to get out of this noisy town up of Idlewild and get to my trailhead. Okay, so 15 minutes and a winding narrow road later. With some confusing signs. I'm at the trailhead for Marion Mountain Trail. I'm already very skeptical of these signs. It says Mount San Jacinto is 5 1/4. I believe it's like 5 3/4. And then it says Deer Springs Trail 1 3/4. And I think it's like about 2.5 miles until this trail connects with the Pacific Crest Trail. So I have taken this trail before. I'm in the right spot, but I'm not sure about those signs. So again, this is the Marion Mountain Trail. It's one of, I would say, the 2 most popular ways to get up to the summit of Mount San Jacinto. The most popular being from the tram station, which again drops you off at 8,400 feet. This one starts at about like 6,400 feet. So it's a little bit more of a climb, requires extra work. And it's the recommended route for getting winded already, 6-pack of peaks challenge, which is a fun challenge in Southern California where you try to hit 6 of the highest peaks. It's created by somebody who is training for the John Muir Trail. So as you can see, it starts out steep and it's steep for the next over 5 miles. Okay, you might be able to see below, there's some picnic tables down there. Maybe zoom in the road. Focus. That's the Marion Mountain Campground. I did see somebody camp there. Looked like they were living #van life. But passing through the campground, and it should just be trail from here on out. And I have to say, it is hot already. It's about 9 a.m., which is a little later than I wanted to start this trail, but ran into some difficulties this morning. And Southern California, actually the entire Southwest, is going through a heat wave right now. It's usually better up in the mountains, but 6,000 feet feels really hot, really early right now. So once again, this goes down to the campground, and I'm going straight across to hit the trail to the summit. And notice the vegetation right now. There's going to be a drastic change. I passed some manzanitas a little while ago, but it's going to look a lot more like the Sierra as I go up. And look at this, a little less than a mile in, almost 500 feet up in elevation, and the vegetation's already changed. A lot more of those fragrant tall pines, a little bit more shade. It does actually feel a tiny bit cooler than at the trailhead. Very angry Stellar's Jay above me. So good, I hope the temperature keeps cooling off. You can see I'm on a slope here, but across the way have nice views of the ridge. And then I'll probably show it on the way down. You might be able to see it through the trees. You can actually see the desert down below. These mountains of California, Southern California, are not very extensive, but they do get pretty high. Peak of San Jacinto is about 10,800 feet. It always seems to happen to me. I just put my phone away, and came across something else cool. Got some wildflowers blooming. It's that time of year when they start blooming at higher elevations, and they're pretty. Not a big wildflower year in the area, though these look great, just because there wasn't a whole lot of rainfall down in the southern portion of the state. Northern portion, oh, they smell so good too. Very floral and fragrant. Northern portion got a little bit more, but not down here. Coming up on a sign for Mount San Jacinto State Park Wilderness. The mountain is managed by different groups, National Forest and the State Park. I guess I'm entering the state park section. They're a little hard to keep track of the boundaries at times, but the day hike permit for the National Forest also serves as your day hike permit for the state park. They honor each other's day hike permits because typically you are kind of crossing boundaries when you do the different trails on this mountain. I see some trail signs. Sorry, I'm swatting away some gnats right now. Trail signs up here, which means coming to the end of the Marion Mountain section of the trail and hopping onto the PCT, Pacific Crest. Oh, these look like new signs. I haven't seen these before. So that's Marion Mountain, which I was just on. Back this way, I gained like 2,300 feet in 2.5 miles. It's steep. And now I'm hitting the Pacific Crest Trail. You can see up here. These are nice new signs. To the right is southbound, left is northbound. Going to the left. And for people who are hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, by the time they reach this point, they've hiked 185 trail miles, which, if you're going southbound, means you're only 185 away from finishing the trail. It's a total of 2,650. If you're going north, a long way to go. So you can see it's really thick pine forest right now. Really beautiful. Unfortunately, lots of gnats. So I've been swatting those away for a long time. But headed on the PCT for a little bit, and then gonna split off again. Oh, look at this relatively flat section on the climb up to San Jacinto. Thank you, PCT. PCT does gain a couple hundred feet, but I got this nice little flat section here. Actually, got some nice meadowy vegetation too running down the side of the hill. Got a whole bunch of skunk cabbage down there. But this is probably the only flat section of this climb. And it's beautiful. And it's nice and cool, and the gnats aren't so bad. So thank you, PCT. And just like that, leaving the PCT. So this is where the PCT splits off to Fuller Ridge. Terrifying prospect when there is snow. There's no snow right now. It's way past the northbound season. But this way is not the PCT anymore. Got these nice new signs. San Jacinto Peak, 3.1 miles this way. So I would call this the Peak Trail, and that means heading back up. It's going to start with a series of switchbacks. Look at this. And it's pretty. Got some nice, again, very, very fragrant flowers flanking the trail here. Pines in front of me, blue, mostly blue sky above me. I just absolutely love this mountain. It's just gorgeous. A lot of the other local mountains don't really have this, I guess, extensive vegetation A lot of it's very shrubby or burned, and this one's just a mountain full of beauty. That's why it's my favorite, San Jacinto. Still heading up the trail, but the trees are starting to thin out and starting to get amazing views. I mean, it's kind of hazy and overcast, but you can still see some of these views. And looking down at the rest of the mountain, you can see how nicely forested it is. With all those horrible fires in Southern California, we're losing these pine trees up here. A lot of the areas are just scorched. But looking back, I'm gonna do kind of a 360. That's where I just came from on the trail. I'm gonna have to be looking up a little bit, otherwise it's just shrubs. And then coming back to the trail. I'm gonna be on this trail for like 2.5 miles. It's gonna connect with the trail coming up from the east side from the tramway, and then both those trails connect and do this little spur up to the summit. But pretty cool, gorgeous, gorgeous landscape and nice views. Again, this is kind of looking west, and this switchback I'm on is heading north. Look at this. As the focus is around the tree, Little Round Valley. This is a campground. This is a backcountry campground. I've never stayed here, but it's about a mile from the summit. So I've stayed on a campground in a campground on the other side. And how it worked is hidden among all these trees are actually numbered or named sites, and you've got to pick one. And there's usually like a sign-in board or something. So here's one. Campsite 1, Granite Gully. Probably have to follow this trail up a little bit to actually find the campsites. But yeah, only about a mile to the top. From here, elevation is kicking in. Probably somewhere between 9,700 feet and 9,800 feet. If I have spending a lot of time at sea level, I usually start to feel elevation like 8,000, and then it really kicks in around 10. A mile to go. And here it is. See the sign in front of me? It's the junction for the trail where the people coming from the tram come up. So going straight will take me to the tram station. Actually, not straight. Looks like to the right here. That goes down to the tram station. Tram and cocktails actually do sound really good right now. But I am going that 0.3, there it is, to the peak. 10,500 feet right now. I should have about 300 more to go. It's just a tough 300. Because there's less oxygen up here. Passing by the emergency hut. You can take a peek inside. It's just a hut. It's a hut with emergency supplies. A lot of mountains have them. Mountain weather can change pretty quickly, so it just gives people the ability to survive if the weather changes. It's got a nice view from it, though. This looks like there's some broken bunks in here. Sleds, ladders, just survival gear. No big deal. All right, well, because we're passing the hut, that means about ready to run out of trail. The last little bit to the summit is actually a scramble, because top of this mountain is just basically a pile of rocks. And this is the summit. This is the top of San Jacinto. There used to be a sign right here that would tell you how high you were. It's about 10,800 feet. So this is looking south. I'm gonna spin around here. This is looking west. On a clear day, I bet you can see the ocean. This is for sure not a clear day. This is north. So that should be San Gorgonio. And then this is kind of east, so should be kind of the Palm Springs area down here. And then kind of right across the way here is Joshua Tree National Park. And I'm on my way back down now, but let me show you what the rock scramble was, because I did not film that on the way up. So this is the last little bit you have to do to reach the peak. You can see the rest of the Santa Rosa Mountains here, and then Palm Springs down here. The tram comes from Palm Springs, and then just back here behind this tree was the summit. So this is that last little bit of scramble. But heading down now. It's nice and cool up here. I can't even imagine how hot it is at the trailhead right now. Things are always so much quicker and easier on the way down. Back at that trail junction. To the left is the tram station, and as tempting as that would be, I think they're still limiting the amount of capacity on the tram, so there might not be tickets. Plus my car is not there. So I'm heading this way. The west exit, the ones towards Idlewild. Next trail junction, where I join up with the PCT. This one actually just kind of becomes PCT South. Technically PCT North makes that big bend down to Fuller Ridge. I should be below 9,000 feet right now, and I have to say, temperature difference is pretty remarkable. It is much warmer down here than it was at the summit. I can't wait to see what it's like at 6,000 feet where my trailhead is. Last trail junction and last 2.5 miles of this hike. Leaving the PCT, heading down this very steep Marion Mountain Trail. Definitely cutting through those contour lines all the way down to the Marion Mountain Trailhead. Usually when I think San Jacinto, I don't think rattlesnakes. But that sure looks like one. A little rattlesnake. I'm just passing the campground, so I am lower at elevations. Of course, there are the gnats. So, if you're starting at the Marion Mountain Trailhead, be careful. Here is the trailhead. And it is hot. It is very hot. My thermometer on my shoulder is reading 85 degrees, and I've been in the shade most of the time. That is a very unexpected temperature for 6,000 feet at this time of year. Very hot. Just to note, that last section, the Marion Mountain Trail section, is just as steep and challenging going down. It's just a really steep trail, so give yourself extra time if you're going to do San Jacinto for this trailhead. And that ends my day hike of Mount San Jacinto, my favorite Southern California mountain. Gets to nice high elevation, and it's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge, but it's beautiful along the way. So I haven't been posting a lot of videos in this past year, but that's going to change in a couple weeks. I've got kind of a bigger trail, very, very beautiful trail. So you'll have to see what that is in a couple weeks. So subscribers, look for that. Otherwise, thanks for watching.